The story of Peter, Townsend, and Princess Margaret is often presented as a tragic love affair crushed entirely by royal rules and by Queen Elizabeth II herself. But when examined more honestly and in full, the truth is far more complex and far more uncomfortable. Margaret first met Peter Townsend when she was just 13 years old, while Townsend was nearing 30 and already a married man. Her attraction appeared early and was never concealed. She was reportedly candid enough to remark to her sister Elizabeth, "Bad luck, he's married." The fact that Townsend was both significantly older and already married did nothing to deter her feelings. The relationship deepened over time, and from the very beginning, it carried the seeds of its own undoing. Townsend eventually divorced his wife, a woman who had given him children, in the hope of marrying Margaret. Yet the couple failed to secure approval from the firm. The primary obstacle was Townsend's status as a divorced man, which at the time conflicted directly with the teachings of the Church of England. They officially separated in 1955. And while Elizabeth II is often cast as the villain in this narrative, the reality is that the decision was not hers alone as a sister, but hers as a monarch bound by law, church doctrine, and the responsibility of preserving the stability of the crown. There was, however, another reason, colder and far less romantic, that is rarely stated aloud. Marrying Peter would have required Margaret to relinquish her royal status, including her allowance and the entirety of her courtly lifestyle. At that decisive moment, Margaret chose not to go that far. She loved Peter, but she was not ready, or perhaps unwilling, to surrender her identity as a royal princess. Although she later married Anthony Armstrong Jones, it is evident that Peter never truly left Margaret's life. She accepted Anthony's proposal after learning that Peter was about to marry another woman, one strikingly similar to Margaret in appearance and demeanor. Even a few years before Townsend's death, Margaret paid him a final visit, officially described as a meeting between old friends. What truly passed between them emotionally may only become clear when the palace releases their love letters in 2030, 100 years after Margaret's birth. What makes this story particularly compelling is its rarely discussed parallel with the romantic life of her sister. Queen Elizabeth II, Elizabeth II, fell in love at the age of 13, this time with Prince Philip. The difference lay not in their emotions, but in how the adults around them managed and supervised those emotions. Elizabeth was the heir to the throne. From an early age, her personal life was treated as a matter of state. Her relationship with Philip was carefully guided, closely monitored, and deliberately restrained, involving an unmarried man whose position was politically viable. The adults surrounding her acted swiftly to ensure that her affection developed within boundaries deemed morally, institutionally, and symbolically acceptable. Margaret, though also a princess, was not the heir. And paradoxically, it was precisely because she was not the spare in waiting for the throne that oversight of her emotional life was far more lax. Her attachment to a married, significantly older man was neither firmly curtailed nor redirected at an early stage. Boundaries were imposed only once the relationship had already become deeply entrenched and painful to many involved. In this light, Margaret was not merely a victim of an unforgiving system, but also the result of a failure by the adults around her to guide and protect her when it mattered most. Ultimately, the story of Peter Townsend and Princess Margaret is not simply a tale of forbidden love. It is a story of imbalance, of age and power, of a grown man who dismantled his family for a fragile hope, of a princess forced to choose between love and identity, and of two sisters who both fell in love at 13, yet arrived at starkly different destinies, not because of their feelings, but because of the direction, status, and supervision imposed upon them.